All right, our next guest is an actor and director best known for his roles in blockbuster films like The Thin Red Line and The Passion of the Christ. Well, now he's starring in a new movie that centers around one of his own personal passions, Christian persecution around the world. Let's take a look.
It's gone viral in the Middle East.
That you're preaching to Muslims.
Well, I was invited. Don't blame me, mate.
Who's there?
Dog! Can you hear me?
He's caused an international incident.
He was kidnapped. This is terrorism.
All right, the movie Infidel is released tomorrow nationwide. Joining us right now is actor-director Jim Caviezel. Jim, welcome to the show. Thanks for being here.
Hey, thank you for having me, Sean.
Jim, you've been in some big movies. What's it like releasing a movie during a global pandemic when it's a little bit harder just to go out and want to see a movie in a theater?
Well, you're still making a thriller, right?
Yep.
We're the only film being released this weekend. So the competition really isn't there. And we went from like 1,400 screens to now 2,500. And most of the time in my industry, you'll never get a film like this made. They came to me, and because of my name value from a previous film I did with Mel Gibson, obviously they could get this one made. And so I read the story. I started thinking about this cancel culture, and Christianity is not too far away from being canceled as well. So we start with Iran. A viewer goes in watching that and saying, boy, is this really going on today? Yes, it is. It's between three stories, so it's thinly disguised truth, just like you would see the movie The Godfather. You would know what coming out of that the mafia really does exist, and this is the same.
Jim, a lot of people aren't aware that religious persecution is still taking place around the world. What do you want the viewer to walk away with? What message?
Well, in the United States, my own country, I would have to say you're being persecuted right now by not being allowed to go to church. See, we have inalienable rights, the life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, and part of that happiness is also being mentally fit. And I don't understand when I see people in restaurants, in airports, and somehow reason the COVID doesn't travel. It doesn't do that. When you go and you can actually take your mask off and eat because, I'm going to play patty cake with you because COVID is afraid of you, and it could be eaten. When you're on an airplane, COVID knows not to jump off and go to the next person next to him, even though you're touching them. Why can't we go to church? Why can't you wear a mask in church and go into a church?
Jim, between this role and the role that you played in that Mel Gibson movie, Jesus, you've gone against the grain. You stand up for what you believe in. That's not something that normally happens in Hollywood. How difficult is it for you in this age of cancel culture to want to play roles and want to obviously succeed in a place like Hollywood?
I was really moved by Ronald Reagan. I don't live that far from the Reagan Library, and I was just going in there and I started listening to some of the things he said, hard things he said, that would get many people killed, and they tried to kill him. But he did the right thing come hell or high water. I was moved by Jimmy Stewart and It's a Wonderful Life. And I thought, dear Lord, if I ever got a chance to do that I would come through. Well, then my time came. And the problem with that is you get an opportunity and they say, well, don't do this Passion of the Christ. If you do this movie, you may never work in this town again, okay? And immediately the studios turned that faucet off for me. I continued to work because a lot of great directors and a lot of great actors that I worked with put in good words for me, but I struggled. And when I heard Reagan say, and he said, those voices don't speak for the rest of us. You and I know it and do not believe that life is so dear and peace so sweet as to be purchased at the price of chains and slavery. If nothing in life is worth dying for, when did this begin? Just in the face of this enemy, or should Moses have told the children of Israel to live in slavery amongst the pharaohs? Should Christ have refused the cross? Should the patriots at Concord Ridge have thrown down their guns and refused to fire the shot heard around the world? The martyrs of history were not fools, and our beloved dead who gave their lives to stop the advance of the Nazis did not die in vain. Where then lies the road to peace, you say? Well, it's a simple answer after all, that you and I have the courage to tell our enemies that there is a price we will not pay. There is a point beyond which evil must not advance. In the words of Ronald Reagan, evil is powerless if the good are unafraid.
Wow, that's powerful, and powerful to hear you reenact it like that. You know, you talk about Passion of the Christ, what happened to your career. I just read a report that you're actually might be doing a sequel with Mel Gibson called Passion of the Christ Resurrection. Is that accurate, and when can we expect that?
Very accurate. I can tell you that on September 2nd, he sent me a picture of him holding the third draft of the script. And what was significant about that was Mel works in code. He doesn't even let the guy who's going to be playing Jesus, he doesn't fill me in on anything. Maybe a couple, but if he does, it's intended. The first draft was done in 2016. The second one by him and Randy Wallace was finished in mid-July 2020. And now I got this third one that they sent me, and I didn't physically have it in my hand. They just sent a picture of it. And what that tells me is the labor pains are getting closer and closer. So the birth of this child is coming very, very soon. And he did write me a text coded, and he asked me, he said, are you ready? And I said, man, I was born ready.
Jim Caviezel, the movie is Infidel. It comes out tomorrow. I hope everybody dons a mask, goes out there and safely watches this movie. God bless you for making movies like this, Jim Caviezel. I appreciate it, and thank you for sharing this with us.
God bless you too, Sean.
All right, take care. Lindsay and I will be right back with our thoughts.